Goeiemorgen, good morning, all the way from Welcome Bay, Bay of Plenty. Down here in the North Island, a lovely 4 degrees this morning. We started off and we had the same temperatures yesterday morning, so definitely a bit colder now. This morning we're talking to Maritza van Niekerk. Maritza is a travel agent. Good morning, Maritza. How are you?
Morning. Good, and you?
So we've got to do the English thing now this morning.
Yes.
Maritza, you're a travel agent and you've helped a heck of a lot of people getting on repatriation flights. What is a repatriation flight?
A repatriation flight is basically the country sending an aircraft to fetch their citizens, approved by the Department of International Relations to fetch stranded citizens. So there hasn't been any to New Zealand for South Africans. They've only gone to Australia.
Okay.
There's 4 South African aircrafts that's been to Australia already to fetch South Africans. So, yeah, we don't see any in the future, but there has been quite a few commercial flights that you also have to get clearance on to get back to South Africa.
Okay. How often, so the South African government has not sent any flights to New Zealand, but I see private people have organized flights. Is that right?
I haven't been involved in any of the private charters. So I can't comment on that. I've only been assisting in the commercial flights and the repatriation flights.
Okay. So how often are there flights to and from New Zealand then?
Well, we'll have to. All the flights are from Australia. So even the commercial flights are from Australia. So we have to do an additional flight from Auckland, Auckland being the international hub at the moment.
Okay.
We have to do a flight from Auckland to Australia. So currently it is from Sydney. So the connection is then Auckland to Sydney. There's actually a flight on the 6th of July that's just come up yesterday with Qatar. That flight's already fully booked. So it's basically last minute. So right. we will literally know like 6-7 days before the flight.
So how quickly does these flights book out?
Within minutes, because it's launched in the Middle East. And by the time the flights are opened up to book in the Middle East, it's obviously midnight here or in the night here. So the Middle East book those flights before we even get it.
Okay.
So I could get 5 people on that flight for next week.
And the problem is, I mean, the people in New Zealand has to compete with the guys in Australia as well.
Correct.
So it's not only one country, it's 2 countries on one flight.
Correct. That flight is still available. The problem is the flight going from Doha to Joburg, which is fully booked.
Okay.
Yeah. So the flight from Australia to Doha is still open. But yeah, everyone in the Middle East books those flights before we can get seats.
So that's even worse. I mean, so they're now basically taking the people from New Zealand to Australia, from Australia, all of them towards Doha, and then they got to compete with everybody else who wants to get home.
Correct. Yeah.
Goodness me. Okay.
And the problem is getting landing rights. So for the commercial flights, they have to apply for landing rights to land in Joburg. And the whole of June, there hasn't been any that's been approved. So yeah, we are hoping that after this one from next week of Qatar, that Emirates will also start getting approvals. But the problem is those flights are open and you can book it, but they don't have landing rights. So they open the flights so you can book and pay for it, but they can't land in Joburg. So they only get approvals like a week before.
All right.
And it doesn't give us any time doing, all the exemptions and transit visas and everything for Australia as well.
Oh. So what's the estimated cost of a ticket like that?
So when I checked yesterday morning, the flight was about 20,500. And by the time I booked, like half an hour later, it was 29,000 per person.
Goodness me.
Yeah. So it ranges anything from 20,000 upwards.
Okay.
All the way from New Zealand.
Oh. Now that's quite hectic. But I mean, if you need to get home, you need to get home. Then there's no amount of money that can really hold you back. So, what do you need to do to get on a flight like this?
You need to be a South African citizen.
Okay.
You can't just get on a flight. I've had someone that was a permanent resident of South Africa for 50 years, but on a British passport, that we struggled to get approval to get her back into the country. So you have to be on a South African passport to get on a flight. And then for flights going via Australia, we have to check for transit visas if you're staying longer than 10 hours, which next week is. You have to get transit visas. And then also, depending on the state where you arrive in and depart from, you have to get ABF, Australian Border Force, approvals for onward travel and exemptions not to quarantine in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Goodness me. If you are in South Africa, what do you need to do to get home to New Zealand? Is there any permissions that you need to get from anyone?
Yes. So let's say there's a split family. Maybe the dad came over before lockdown, and the mom and the kids would have followed, which I also had. Even though their visas were approved, they're not allowed to travel. So they had to apply for an exemption through INZ. And once they have that, then they can get on a flight.
Okay.
You have to get exemption from INZ, from New Zealand Immigration, to fly over.
How long does that exemption take?
I won't be able to tell you.
Okay.
I know that there is travellers who applied 15 times that's been declined. So I wouldn't even suggest booking a flight before you have that exemption.
And these flights that are available to be booked, but that they are unsure if they even can come. If you've paid for that, would you get your money back, or is it you snooze, you lose?
You will get your money back because that flight's not going to operate. But the problem is trying to get your money back. It might take you 3-4 months to get the money back, and then most travelers need that money to buy other flights. So I wouldn't suggest just going on and booking a flight, because your money will be stuck with that airline. And then maybe a week later, a different airline travels and you can't book it. So,
are you ready for a question?
Sure.
So, do you help people to get all the approvals, or do they have to do it themselves, I believe?
So I have been helping. I do give the links to do the visas themselves, because it's a lot of personal questions that I don't have. But I tell them exactly where to go and what to do. With the ABF exemptions and the quarantine exemptions, I've assisted my groups in sending it in groups to Australia for approvals. So yes, I do help with that.
All right. Big question is, how many people have you assisted in getting home safely?
So far, 115 from New Zealand. That's over and above the ones from Australia.
I've got to say thank you for that, really. Thanks a lot, because I've heard so many good things, and it's all over that you are the person that's really out there willing to assist people on the repatriation flights, and that sometimes an amazing thing happens. You do get people on these flights still. And I mean, that doesn't happen very often, but thanks for that. So the big question probably would be in everybody's mind is, how do you get on the list?
Okay, so you won't know once a flight is approved by going on a website or see that it's got landing rights. So you need to be registered with DIRCO. So the New Zealanders need to register at the Wellington office, and they then send out a list of a flight once it's approved. But the problem is, by the time that list goes out, the flight's already full.
Okay.
So I get info directly from the Wellington office and the Canberra office before that email goes out. So what I've been asking travelers is to send me copies of their passports. Let me keep it on a list. Once I get the approval that flight is guaranteed and confirmed to travel, I start booking, and then I just send you, do you want to get on this flight? This is the details. And then we have a guaranteed seat, because I can keep a seat for a day.
Okay.
So it's not like going on a website where you have to book and pay straight away. So I can keep a seat.
Right.
So I had a family yesterday where I booked the seats, and then they said no, they'll wait for the next one. So I released it, and then I couldn't get those seats back. Someone else grabbed it.
Okay.
So so I could get 5 travelers on for next week.
Question: when do you sleep?
It's been very long nights, early mornings. But it's been worth it. It's really worth it. Getting everyone back home, and also being with them while they're in quarantine. It's all worth it.
And this is one of the things that I have heard from you, or of you. Let me say of you. You haven't told me this yourself. Some other people have told me this. They said while they were in the air, you even contacted their family to tell them where they are. When they were on the ground, you contacted them. And I think this comment of, wow, when do you sleep? Geez, I don't know. I mean, because we're in so many different time zones. You probably just sleep 40 winks and then you're up again and do something else.
I do reply during the night, on messages, and, because I've got travelers in South Africa, and with the time difference, it is difficult to work from 8 to 5. So now I do stay in contact with the group while they're in South Africa. I've got a group in quarantine now of 41. So, they split up in 2 hotels. But, we are definitely in contact with them, and through the whole process.
All right. So while we are on the quarantine thing, is there a quarantine process in South Africa, and how does that work?
Yes, there is. So when you're on the flight, once you arrive at OR Tambo, you'll get a quarantine, like a permission, quarantine authorization to sign. Then once you arrive, you won't go into the building at all. Your bags get taken off the aircraft. You stay on the tarmac. You identify your bags, and you get called out in groups to get onto a shuttle to be taken to your hotel. So you won't know where you will be going. And I've also asked on my group that, the guys and the older, to help the older people with the luggage, and
That's right.
so and the families or the moms with kids to just help out as well, because you're literally struggling through all the bags to get yours. Then you will be taken to your quarantine facility. All the facilities have been great facilities. No one has complained or, had a terrible experience so far. It's been hotels in Sandton. It's been Empress Palace. This week they at the Indaba, so it's not scruffy training centers or anything like that. They get 3 meals a day. You are allowed, on the hotel's discretion, to leave your room to go for a walk, but obviously not gather in groups.
That's right.
So you can, there is that option to get out of your room. You're not stuck in your room the whole day.
Yeah.
So the groups before got tested on day 5, and then by day 8 they could leave. Last week they announced 14 days not negotiable. So now everyone needs to stay 14 days, and then only they will be released.
I just want to pop this comment on there coming from Benita, who's our immigration girl on the page, saying at present the exemptions are only for essential workings on the listed projects. If you are a New Zealand resident citizen, then the exemption has been removed.
Okay.
So that's quite important as well.
Yeah.
Back to quarantine. Who pays for this?
The government.
Really?
Yes, the government pays for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. I've heard stories about the first group of people that arrived for that quarantine facility where it wasn't even beds, it was run down, hasn't been used in many years. But it looks like they've upped their game a bit.
I think they started with the training facilities, like your Telkom and Eskom training facilities in the beginning. And when the influx of passengers got in, they had to put them somewhere. So that's when they approached the hotels.
Okay. Anything else you need to tell us regarding this whole process and how it works?
It's just not as easy as getting on a flight. You can't just get on a flight. Doesn't matter if you're going to Europe or wherever, you can't just get on a flight.
Okay.
I know that there's KLM repatriation flights at the moment, but you have to be a European citizen. You have to be a permanent resident of one of those countries. So it's not just taking a flight somewhere. And we are hoping that, the flights will open up and that this whole thing will be over soon so that travel can resume. Because so many countries depend on tourism.
That's right. Even here.
Flights to operate, definitely, yes, yeah. We need flights to operate.
That's coming from Benita. She says it costs 7,000 New Zealand dollars per person for 14 days of quarantine. I would believe that this is on the New Zealand side. So this could add a bit extra to your expenses for the holiday if you're thinking of just coming over for a quick visit, which you're not allowed to do. So, interesting thing, Maritza, I saw that Europe is now opening the borders for New Zealand. But I mean, at the end of the day, you being a travel agent, there's no flights going there.
No. And also, you can't enter those countries without being a citizen or a permanent resident.
Okay.
And you can't leave to go on a holiday because you don't know how you will be getting back.
That's right.
And if you're planning on going for 2 weeks, coming back, you'll have to quarantine.
Yeah. And then coming back, another $7,000 on top of that. I mean, it could be 2 weeks in the Seychelles for me. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that everything will be back to normal before the end of the year.
Myself, I've got that feeling as well. Yep. So
yeah.
The thoughts was from government side that they wanted to open the borders with Australia, but as we've seen the new breakout in Australia, it's not looking good there.
No, not at all. So, I don't think that will happen in the next 2-3 months.
The next question, actually, or comment or question, comes very much in line with what we've just been talking about. It says, "Hi, I've heard a rumor that New Zealand airports will be closed for 12 to 18 months. Is this true? If so, what will happen to the flight tickets that has been bought before lockdown?" Especially that flight tickets that have been bought before lockdown. I mean, I am in the same, how can I say? I'm in the same seat as that because I bought a lot of tickets for my kids. And currently everything is on hold. So what is your thoughts on that?
I know Qantas and Emirates have extended their travel till end of 2021. So if you've bought tickets before lockdown, that is the option. If you are opting for a refund, because they give you the option to reuse the ticket, and if the borders won't open before then, I'm sure that they'll extend that as well, because you have to use the ticket. You can't just forfeit that. And if you want a normal refund, they'll say, that normal cancellation fees apply. If your ticket if you had a Qantas ticket up to the end of May, you could do a refund. Otherwise, you use the ticket.
Okay.
You use the ticket then towards, or the credit towards a new ticket, and then there will probably be a difference to pay in by next year.
All right. So when it opens again and you want to use that ticket, you will have to pay the difference between the new price versus what you have paid.
Correct.
That makes sense.
They'll waive the change fee. They'll waive the change fee that you don't pay the change fee of 2,000 Rand or whatever it is on your ticket, but
That's
you'll
right.
have to pay in the difference of your old ticket and the new fee.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Another comment from Vanita popping up. She's saying the epidemic management notice was not extended further than 25 September. This will mean people can leave New Zealand during this time. I doubt this will be for holiday, but only for essential travel. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, up until 25 September, we've got the epidemic management notice. But I mean, with government, they can always
extend
that.
it.
A good thing as well, they slipped up with those people that they let out in Auckland going to Wellington. Stupid mistake.
Correct.
But it looks like they've tightened the reins again, which we really need. We really need government to also be on par with where we as a nation is. So
yes.
I want to ask you a question about Taupo. You live in
Yes.
Taupo. A lot of people don't understand that, but you are in New Zealand. You're not in South Africa.
Correct. It's actually our 5 months in New Zealand today.
Oh, okay. Congrats.
So, so Taupo is cold. Coming from Centurion, I don't think we're quite prepared for the winter. We see snow on the mountains already. So yeah, it's getting chilly. We haven't really done many touristy stuff because obviously we were here just before lockdown. And so we've taken some drives. We've been to Rotorua, been to Wellington, but not all the touristy stuff that we will still get to.
Oh, yeah. So next time you're in Rotorua, 40 minutes from there, you stop at my house and come for coffee, and I'll give you lunch. Don't worry.
Will do. Will do.
People sometimes get overwhelmed with this whole process. Please explain to us your involvement to put them at ease.
Okay, so going through the whole booking process, I update the travelers of exactly the documents that they need. I won't let you get on a flight if you don't have an exemption, for instance, for Australia.
That's right.
So I won't put you on a flight and where there will be a possibility that you might get stranded. So I will check that you have all the documents, your visas are in order, and then also if there's any documents that you need to complete beforehand, like with the SA Repatriation Flights, there were health documents that needed to be completed beforehand. So I sent that through in bulk, and then
You can go skiing this winter. Just don't break anything, please. Don't do this. Comes from Vanita.
And so I make sure that everyone. So I put you on a WhatsApp group. I know everyone's on thousands of groups, but it just works. That I just updated on there. I don't have. It's just me. I can't update everyone on different means and with all the information that I send out. So if I send it on the group, I know that it's been sent. I make sure that everyone gathers at the airport, at the time that they should. There's checks that needs to be done at the airport. You get on your flight with the transit. I check that you've arrived. Some of the family members also want to be on the WhatsApp group to get the information. I also put a tracker on there that they can track the flights. Just to know that when someone lands, because some people don't connect on the Wi-Fi when they arrive at an airport, or it's some of the older generation. So then the family at least know that the flight's arrived, and also once it departs, then when they get in Joburg, I also send them the whole quarantine steps, step by step. Also, make sure, because the flight arrives at 10 in the evening, that you've got something warm at least, because you'll stay on the tarmac. That process at our Tambo takes about 2 to 3 hours. So, especially
you're stuck on the tarmac for 2 to 3 hours.
The whole process from arrival till you depart for your hotel is about 2 to 3 hours.
Goodness me.
Yeah, so they'll call you out in groups from the aircraft, because they also take your temperature and ask you health questions. So yeah, that whole process. If it's an aircraft of 300 people, and you get escorted by police to your quarantine facility. So there's only like 10 or 15, or maybe a bus of 20 that can go at a time. And that's also, once your flight is booked, the airline sends a manifest to DIRCO with everyone on the list, and by that, then your quarantine facility gets booked. So once you're at your facility, you get checked in. The meals aren't prepared by the hotels. It's a centralized kitchen in Joburg that sends out all the meals. So you can't order off a menu or anything, but they do cater for specific meal requirements. And so then, it's just the process at the hotel. I'll send info if anyone needs to get to Cape Town, for instance. There are buses that's running. There's now flights that's popped up. So it's just your 2 weeks that you can basically get over your jet lag, and then go home. So I stay with the group till they get home, or till they decide to leave the group, the WhatsApp group. So even now, I've got a group at the Indaba that's sending me updates every day, and the hotel has been very accommodating in going to the shops for them, and so they've really gone out of their way to make everyone comfortable.
Interesting question from Vanita, asking if Singapore Airlines is flying to South Africa.
No.
Not at all.
Everyone needs to apply for landing rights. So there's no commercial flights going. And I'm sure once South Africa is out of level 3, then, the commercial flights will start to go in. But yeah, the airlines have to apply for landing rights for South Africa at the moment.
All right. Yeah, but that's my thoughts as well. Thank you so much for everything you do, Maritza. You're making the whole process as easy as possible. You are worth your weight in gold.
A lot of gold.
Aren't we all? Yeah, Maritza, from my side, I want to say thank you very much for everything you've been doing to South Africans. And I do understand that it takes sometimes a heck of a lot of extra guts to work with South Africans. We aren't the easiest bunch of people to work for, and people think it's all about them always. But you've been handling yourself extremely well out there. So thank you very much for that. Our time this morning has come to end. Is there anything that you, as a few last words of wisdom, want to drop down?
Yeah, I just want to tell everyone that's still stuck here, hang in there. We will get you home. They have to come for you. So, most visitor visas expire by September. So yeah, we'll get you home. Send me your passports, and then I'll keep you on the list, and then keep in contact once the flights have landing rights, and then we can go from there.
All right. My thoughts are same as Vanita says. Thank you, Maritza. You're probably going to be very busy once more flights open. I'm going to ask Maritza, please drop your details for us on the page that people can go or know where to get hold of you. And then thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
All right. That was us this morning, guys and girls. Thank you very much for listening to those out there. We will repost this on YouTube. And Maritza, once again, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.